Hi, my name's Lisa Johnson, better known as Pinky Johnson, and I live in Winton. In 2004, I was employed to work on the film The Proposition, which was shot around Winton. It ran for about 3 months. I was employed by them. My credit said kitchen hand, construction kitchen hand. I preferred to call myself onion cutter upper. I worked for construction, and my job entailed getting all the food ready for smokos and lunches. I started out at Kamara, which is about 25 kilometres north of Winton, and they chose that set because it was a treeless plain, and where the set was built, that was the township in The Proposition, you couldn't see a tree. There was no tree at all. So it was a great set for what they wanted. I had a bit of a go at Nick Cave because he hadn't gone to see where all the sets were being built, because I thought that they were so appropriate for what was in his script. But I suppose he didn't really have enough time. You saw all the other actors around all the time. When Ray Winstone first came, it was really funny. There was a couple of pommy barmaids that worked at the Tats, and I was a bit ignorant, didn't really know Ray Winstone, you know. And they're, oh my God, Ray Winstone's in the bar, you know, like, oh my God. And we're like, oh yeah, okay. He actually had a really good win on the horses that day, so he shouted at the bar a couple of times. But you'd see them all the time, and what the beauty of Winton was, they weren't mobbed, Winton gets a bit blasé. They just sort of treat everyone as just somebody else. There's no real stargazing or anything like that. So I think they had a lot of freedom here, because they could, you know, have their Sunday lunch at the Tats and not be, you know, hounded for autographs or anything like that. I think people still, like, you know, anyone involved or lots of people, when you get talking about it, there is a real, it's a great feeling, like I remember when this happened, or the set, like, because so many people were involved, there's, you know, often you'll start talking about The Proposition and what you did at that time. You know, everyone knew virtually what they were doing around that 3 months in 2004, so yeah. One of the funny things was seeing the movie, and it took, luckily, sort of, you know, a few times, because the first few times I was, oh, there's so-and-so, oh, there's so-and-so, seeing all the people that were extras in the movie. And one lady that was the doctor's wife in the movie, Carol, that's her real name, oh, for ages afterwards I used to look at her and think, you're such a bitch, Carol, because she gave poor Martha the filthy stare. And so that was really funny, you know, just seeing all the locals in the movie. And of course, the men were scruffy, because auditions came out earlier, and so they had to grow beards and have the mad hair. So there was a lot of men around town that were pretty wild looking. It was afterwards, of course, they cleaned themselves all up, and it was funny how different they looked. From the movie, I did manage to souvenir a script, which somebody lent it to somebody that lent it to me, that I ended up with it. I also got a great laptop bag that was really generous. Like, normally I only get a t-shirt apparently, but we got these great laptop bags. And I got an old stool which was made by an old fella from Jericho. He was originally just going to be supplying the wood for all the fences, but he ended up on set, and he everything he made was by the old, nothing electrical. So the stool was made by an old, I forget what they call it, but the old drill, you know, that is put the holes in and then put the legs on, and that was, the stools were in the policeman's tent. That's where they were situated, so they're pretty cool. And I also did manage to get some insulation, which is quite funny, because I had to insulate a lot of the sets, because it was just so hot that it wasn't the actors, it was actually the equipment was shutting down, because the equipment got too hot. They started coming in early September, and then they left in November, was the final. Because with construction, they were there till the end too, because they had to clean up everything. They had to leave all the sites as they were. That's part of the conditions. Whether the people wanted them still there, that they weren't allowed to. They had to clean it up. The council did have a day where people can go and salvage what they wanted, and so some people have got little mementos. Every night there were people at the Tats. You know, you can imagine it was just busy as. Every weekend there were people everywhere. Then as filming finished, you know, everyone sort of went quite quickly, and it was, for me in particular, because I'd been so involved, it was like I was walking around in circles thinking, oh, what am I going to do now? Where's everyone gone? All my new friends. But yeah, so it was a bit of a, you know, after movie stillness around, but yeah, no, it was good.